Judgment has a number of definitions. However, in this context, the social judging of others will be explored. Why do we feel the need to compare ourselves to others and judge others' actions, whether they be flaws or positives? What is the biological necessity for this action, if there even is one? And how can it be mitigated or balanced to live peacefully? We mainly judge and compare others to try and feel better about ourselves. We focus on our accomplishments and compare them to others, highlighting how we are better, or focus on the flaws of others or how they differ from what is considered normal. To try and solidify our own sense of self-worth, we prove to ourselves that we are better. On the other hand, we may focus on what we see as the accomplishments of others and compare that to ourselves and feel worse that they have what we don't. In the end, it comes down to wanting to be secure and certain in ourselves, even if it makes us feel worse. In Leon Festinger's 1954 social comparison theory, it is explained how individuals have a drive to gain accurate self-evaluations, so they will evaluate their own abilities by comparing to others in order to reduce uncertainty and define oneself. In other words, we compare ourselves against others so that we have a basis of what may be considered acceptable in society. It can be argued that comparing things is innately human. Back when survival was difficult, humans had to compare certain things to make difficult decisions, such as, is this cave better than the one closer to the river? Are these berries the same as the ones that killed my brother? Or will this mate be suitable to raise my children? Life is full of decisions, so we compare and judge at enormous lengths so that we can make the right decisions. From a survival perspective, we judge others to form an opinion to determine if they are safe or if they are a danger to you. This is a primitive survival instinct which often occurs as soon as you meet someone, and once you determine that there is no immediate danger, then you compare and contrast. So, is it that irrational to compare and judge other people as well? It's seemingly an ingrained part of being human. Yes, especially if we are doing it to try and feel better about ourselves. Humans are not unbiased observers and decision makers. Without specific systems in place, we naturally let emotions and other factors get in the way of rational judgment, which is why we've developed systems such as the scientific method to be as unbiased as possible when comparing things. But even then, it is recommended to try and stick to a small subject and focus, as the bigger the matter becomes, the harder it gets to rationally judge it without a bias. As such, when someone tries to judge another person, they rarely take account the whole picture, and instead focus on one small aspect to compare with. This can range from skin colour to the amount of people someone has slept with. Judicial judging varies from the social comparisons we make as well. In court, a judge and a jury is put in place to decide a verdict on a dispute between two or more people. The people or their lawyers make their case so that the all-encompassing truth can come forward and an unbiased decision can be made. Obviously, the system does not work all the time, and there are plenty of examples where bias and prejudice do come into effect. This merely shows how hard it is to remove human emotion when rational decisions must be made. But back to comparison. Sure, comparing things like different chocolates or clothes prices is easy, but when put up against more complex comparisons, such as the whole of one human against another, judgments become infinitely more difficult. Humans are terrible at the comparison of complex things, and yet we still create hierarchies for everything. Look at how tier lists have such a hold on the internet. We crave knowing what other people believe to be the best and the worst. Such hierarchical thinking comes from the idea that everything is finite, that if you don't have the best, then you will be worse off than others because there is not enough to go around. When someone has something that they don't have, they feel like they deserve to have it as well, and subconsciously create a hierarchy where the people who have this certain thing are above them. If you are above someone on this hierarchy, you don't have to worry about being under them anymore. You finally feel good enough, and the shame and inferiority dissipates. However, this is a dangerous cycle, and will lead you to constantly compare yourself against others to try and find happiness. But the truth is that there will always be someone better than you in almost anything. You can never be the very best in every single facet of life. Placing people below you to feel good about yourself is the fast food version of happiness. It dissipates quickly once you focus on a part of your life when someone is better than you, and you're back to feeling unworthy once again. You have to go further and further to find people that you view as worse than you to try and feel slightly better about yourself. At least I'm not a drug addict. At least I'm not a criminal. At least I'm not like them. This obviously comes from a place of low self-worth. Many people who are brought up with unconditional love don't feel the need to compare themselves with others in order to feel happiness as they are comfortable in themselves. They don't see kindness and love as finite things that some people deserve and others don't. Instead, they understand that nothing is lost by being kind. You lose nothing in this transaction. Instead, you gain a happier and more love-filled society around you. With social media being such a large part of people's lives now as well, we have just become even better at comparing ourselves to each other. Not even do we now have numbers to identify how someone can be better than another, but we are only shown the most perfect parts of people's lives to compare to. There are multiple studies that have shown how social media apps such as Instagram directly lower self-esteem and life satisfaction because of the social comparison that they exemplify. So, to stop the cycle of judgment and comparison, you must learn that you don't have to be better than other people, just enough for yourself. See yourself and others as worthy of love and be content that there is enough love for everyone. If you feel good about yourself, you won't spend your time finding faults in others. This is easier said than done, but a simple change of perspective and awareness of being judgmental is enough to start the change, to eventually create a happier and kinder environment around yourself. You can also practice being more curious about the world and the people around you. Rather than trusting the automatic assumptions you make of people, you can learn about who they really are as a person, where you may be more compassionate and understanding. And if that's not enough, just remember that comparison is the thief of happiness, and everyone just wants to be happy.